Have you ever felt trapped in your own head, unable to stop thinking, worrying, analyzing, even when you desperately wanted peace? In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle begins by asking us a radical question. What if you are not your thoughts? What if the voice inside your head is not who you are, but simply noise you mistaken for your identity? This first chapter lays the foundation for the book's core message. We are not our minds. And true freedom begins when we disidentify from the constant stream of thinking. Tolle explains that most human beings live in a kind of mental hypnosis. We are constantly thinking, worrying, planning, regretting, so much so that we forget to actually live. We don't experience the present moment because we are lost in thoughts about the past or the future. And here's the shocking truth. The mind doesn't want the present. It thrives on the past and the future because that's where its sense of identity lies. The ego, our false self, is built entirely from memory and projection. This happened to me, or someday I'll achieve that. It keeps you trapped in time, and time, in Tolle's view, is the mind's favorite illusion. But then the question arises, if I'm not my thoughts, who am I? Tolle invites us to explore something deeper, the awareness that notices the thoughts. That silent presence underneath the noise. That's who you are. Try this. Can you listen to your mind like you would listen to traffic outside your window without getting involved? That space between you and your thoughts. That's the beginning of awakening. Eckhart also talks about a powerful moment in his own life. At the peak of his depression, he had a thought, I can't live with myself anymore. Then suddenly he questioned, who is this I that can't live with myself? Are there two of me? That simple realization shattered the illusion. He realized, there is the thinker, and there is the observer. And once you begin to observe your thoughts, rather than identifying with them, you begin to wake up. This awakening isn't intellectual. You don't think your way into peace. You step into it by being present. Key takeaway, you are not the voice in your head. You are the awareness that hears it. Your mind is a powerful tool, but it becomes destructive when it controls you. Freedom begins when you realize you are not your mind. Right now, pause. Take one conscious breath. Notice the silence between thoughts. Can you feel that presence? That is you, beyond identity, beyond thought, beyond time. If I am not my mind, then what am I? And how can I live in this present moment when life constantly pulls me into the past or future? In Chapter 2, Eckhart takes us deeper. He introduces us to the greatest key to awakening, consciousness itself, the light that ends the darkness of overthinking. Stay with us as we open the next doorway to now. Chapter 2, Consciousness, the way out of pain. Why do we suffer, even when everything seems fine on the outside? Why does anxiety, guilt, fear, or emptiness seem to creep in without warning? In Chapter 2 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle delivers a life-changing truth. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And the way out of suffering is consciousness. Tolle begins by drawing a sharp distinction between pain and suffering. Pain is a natural part of life, a loss, an illness, a heartbreak. But suffering, that's the mental resistance to pain. It's the inner narrative we attach to what's happening. And most of that suffering isn't even based on what's happening now. It's based on the mind's replaying of the past, or its fear of the future. Tolle calls this the pain body. It's like a shadow energy field made up of old emotional wounds, grief, anger, trauma, all stored inside us. When we are unconscious, the pain body becomes active. It takes over our emotions, hijacks our thoughts, and even feeds on conflict, drama, and negativity just to stay alive. You might notice this when someone gets irrationally angry, deeply anxious, or suddenly emotional, seemingly out of nowhere. That's not them. That's their pain body in control. So, how do we heal? How do we escape this trap? Through conscious presence. When you become aware of the pain, without resisting it, judging it, or feeding it, you shine the light of consciousness onto it. Imagine this. You're sitting with emotional discomfort. Instead of saying, I hate this feeling, I want it gone, you simply observe, this is what pain feels like in this moment. No story, no identification, just presence. This alone begins the alchemy. Eckhart explains that the more we resist pain, the more we multiply suffering. But when we accept it, become fully present with it, it begins to dissolve, like darkness exposed to light. The addiction to psychological time. Another key concept in this chapter is psychological time, the mind's obsession with the past and the future. Tolle says that our entire identity is often wrapped in what happened to me or what might happen later. We think we're solving problems, planning, processing, but what we're really doing is escaping now. He's not saying never plan. He's saying, use time. Don't let time use you. Live in the present. Let the past inform you, not define you. Let the future guide you, not control you. Consciousness as liberation. Here's the ultimate message of this chapter. You cannot be free of suffering by fixing your life. You can only be free by waking up. And waking up means becoming conscious, deeply aware of your inner state in each moment. When you become aware of your emotional pain, it loses its grip. When you observe your negative thoughts without merging with them, they weaken. In this way, you don't fight suffering, you transcend it. Eckhart beautifully puts it this way: the beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the thinker. Key takeaway: you suffer not because of what happens, but because of the mental and emotional resistance to what is. The path to peace is not through fixing the world, but by becoming present within it. Consciousness is the light that dissolves pain. Asterisk right now. Can you simply feel your inner state without labeling it? Are you carrying tension, sadness, fear? Can you observe it without naming it, without fixing it, just being with it? This is consciousness, and this is healing. Asterisk. But if presence is the answer, why is it so hard to stay there? What keeps pulling us back into thought, into restlessness, into the noise? In Chapter 3, Eckhart takes us into the heart of resistance and shows us how to move deeply into the now, because only by being, not thinking, do we truly awaken. Asterisk. Chapter 3, moving deeply into the now. So far, we've explored the mind's obsession with time and how suffering arises from unconscious identification with thought and pain. But the question remains, how do we actually enter the now? In Chapter 3, Eckhart Tolle teaches that the present moment is not just a concept, it's a doorway. And the deeper we go into it, the more we awaken to life as it really is. Asterisk. The now is not just a brief point between the past and future. It is all there ever is. Everything, your entire life, is unfolding in this single, eternal moment. But here's the paradox. We don't live in the present moment. We think about it. We say, I'll try to be more present, or I know I need to slow down, but that becomes more mental noise. So, how do we go beyond the thinking mind and enter the now? The key, acceptance. Settle reveals that the doorway into the now is complete acceptance of what is, without resistance. This means not fighting the moment, not wishing it were different, not waiting for something else to make you whole, even if what's happening is unpleasant. Discomfort, stress, traffic, boredom. Try this. Instead of resisting it, go deeper into it. Accept the moment completely, not passively, but consciously. This doesn't mean you don't act. It means you stop reacting. You act from presence, not from resistance. And there's power in that. A grounded, alert stillness that radiates, calm even in chaos. The trap of psychological time. Eckhart reminds us again, the mind always wants to escape the now. It says, things will be better tomorrow. This is just temporary. I'll be happy when. I can't enjoy the now because of what happened back then. But this is a trap, a loop that never ends. You keep chasing peace, but peace never comes, because peace can only exist in the now. Even our goals, success, relationships, spiritual growth become future projections, stealing us from the richness of this very moment. So instead of waiting for life to begin, Tolle asks us to let life in now, surrender to the flow. One of the most profound ideas in this chapter is the concept of inner surrender. To surrender is not to give up, but to stop mentally arguing with reality. Surrender is, this is what's happening. I accept it. I will work with it, not against it. When we stop resisting life, life begins to flow more effortlessly through us. We become aligned with the present, and from there, true wisdom arises. Key takeaway: the present moment is not something to reach, it's something to enter fully now. When you stop resisting the now, you stop resisting life itself, and only in that deep surrender does real transformation begin. Asterisk. What in your life are you currently resisting? Is it a feeling, a situation, a person, a truth? Can you, just for a moment, allow it to be exactly as it is, without judgment? This is presence. This is power. Asterisk. But if the now is so powerful, why do we keep slipping out of it? Why does the mind pull us back into unconscious thinking, even when we want to stay present? In Chapter 4, Eckhart dives into the mind's strategies for avoiding the present moment, and how to recognize when you're being pulled back into illusion. Join us as we continue this journey deeper into stillness, awareness, and awakening. Chapter 4. Mind Strategies for Avoiding the No. Have you ever sat in silence for just a few minutes, only to notice your mind racing, restless, looking for something to worry about? That's not a lack of discipline. That's your mind doing exactly what it's designed to do. Avoid the present moment. In Chapter 4, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle shows us how the mind uses subtle and often unconscious strategies to keep us trapped in time, tension, and mental noise. Eckhart begins this chapter with a powerful insight. The mind's very structure is designed to avoid the now. Why? Because in the now, the mind loses its grip. It can't survive in pure presence because it thrives on problems, identity, and time. The ego, which is the mind-made sense of self, is addicted to one thing above all: drama. And to feed that addiction, the mind uses a toolbox of clever strategies to keep you out of presence. Let's look at some of the most common ones Eckhart reveals. 1. Living through future or past. The most obvious distraction is time-based thinking. Once I get that job, I'll finally be happy. If that breakup hadn't happened, I'd be better today. We postpone peace to the future or bury joy in past pain, constantly reliving memories or rehearsing imaginary outcomes. The result? We miss what's actually happening right now. And what's happening is always more alive than the mind's version of it. 2. Complaining and resisting. What is one of the mind's favorite distractions is complaining. Not just out loud, but in your head. That constant voice that says, this shouldn't be happening. They're wrong. Why me? Eckhart points out, when we argue with what is, we suffer. Complaining is the ego trying to assert control over reality, but it never wins. It only creates inner resistance, which turns into stress, anxiety, and emotional pain. 3. Blaming others or ourselves. Another strategy is blame, which feeds the ego. By placing responsibility out there or turning it inward as guilt, but both are distractions from presence. Both are stories about what should have or could have happened. The mind loves to rehearse these stories because they keep the pain body alive. For waiting is a state of mind. Tolle introduces a subtle but powerful idea. Waiting is a mental strategy to deny the now. Whether you're waiting in line, waiting for a relationship, or waiting to be happy, your mind is saying, this moment isn't good enough. And when the present isn't good enough, you disconnect from life itself. He writes, waiting is a state of mind. Basically, it means that you want the future. You don't want the present. The cure: fully inhabit the moment you're in. Even if it's simple, ordinary, or uncomfortable, it's real. Awareness is the antidote. So, how do we escape these mind traps? Not by fighting the mind, but by watching it. Eckhart encourages a simple but powerful practice. Whenever you notice mental resistance, stop, take one conscious breath. Bring your full attention to this moment. Notice the way your body feels, the sound around you, the texture of now. This alone begins to shift you from thinking into being. Key takeaway: your mind's main goal is not to solve your problems, but to keep itself alive through thought. And it does this by avoiding the now, through blame, resistance, worry, and waiting. But the moment you become aware of these strategies, they lose power. Awareness breaks the spell. What mental stories are you replaying today? Are you waiting for something to happen before you allow yourself to feel peace? Can you drop the story just for now and fully arrive in this moment? But if the mind keeps pulling us away from the present, then what does it mean to truly live in the now? In Chapter 5, Eckhart introduces the state of presence, not just as an idea, but as a way of being that reconnects you with peace, purpose, and your true self. Let's go deeper into stillness. Chapter 5, the state of presence. We've all heard it before, be present. But what does that actually mean? Is presence a mental focus, a feeling, a meditation technique? In Chapter 5 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle takes us beyond ideas and into the lived reality of presence, not something we do, but something we become. Presence is more than just paying attention. It's more than mindfulness as a practice. It is a state of being where your awareness is rooted in the now, not the mind. Tolle explains that most of the time, we live either in thought or in reaction. Our attention is hijacked by memories, plans, judgments, inner commentary. But in the state of presence, we are free from all that. We're not analyzing life, we're experiencing it directly. It's like waking up from a dream. Suddenly, everything feels clearer, quieter, more real. Characteristics of presence. Eckhart describes presence as alert, but calm, silent, but deeply alive, effortless, but powerful. When you're present, you're no longer lost in your mind. You feel the aliveness in your body. You hear sounds without mental labels. You respond to life rather than react from habit. In presence, there's no need to seek, because you realize you already are what you've been seeking. The power of attention. So how do you enter this state? The key, Eckhart says, is attention. The moment you shift your attention away from thoughts and into direct experience, you step into presence. Try this. Bring your attention fully to your breath. Feel the air entering your nose and leaving. Feel your chest rise and fall. That shift, that silent awareness is presence. And the more we practice this, the more we stabilize that state. It becomes our default instead of a fleeting moment. The watcher behind the mind. Eckhart also emphasizes the idea of the witness, the silent observer behind your thoughts and emotions. This watcher is not the mind. It doesn't judge, compare, or analyze. It simply notices without resistance. And the more you become aware of that watcher, the more you realize that is your true self. Not the thinker, not the doer, but the pure awareness behind it all. Stillness is not emptiness. So fear that often arises on the spiritual path is, if I let go of my thoughts, won't I become passive, empty, detached? But Tolle reassures us, presence is not a void. It's not numb or disconnected. It's actually the fullest state you can be in, because you're not distracted by noise. You're filled with clarity, peace, and power. Presence is where love arises without reason, where action comes from intuition, not reaction, where joy is not based on achievement, but simply on being. Key takeaway, presence is not a goal. It's a return to what you already are. When you are truly present, the mind grows quiet, emotions settle, life becomes vivid, direct, and whole. In presence, you don't escape life, you enter it fully. Can you feel the space behind your thoughts right now? Not the thoughts themselves, but the awareness that sees them. Just rest there, in that silent presence. That's not something you imagine. That's who you are. So if presence is our natural state, why is it so hard to stay there? What pulls us back into distraction, into unconsciousness? In chapter 6, Eckhart shares a surprising gateway back into presence, one that's always available to us. The inner body. Is not about thought. It's not even about breath. It's about feeling the aliveness within. Join us in the next chapter as we explore this direct, powerful portal to now. Chapter 6, the inner body. What if the fastest way to become present isn't through thought, but through something you've carried with you your whole life? In chapter 6 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle introduces one of the most grounding and accessible practices of spiritual awakening. Feel your inner body, not in theory, but as a living field of energy, right now, within you. So far, we've explored presence as awareness, a quieting of the mind, a returning to now. But the question is, how do we actually stay there? How do we avoid slipping back into unconscious thinking, emotional reactivity, and mental noise? Tolle's answer is simple, but profound. Anchor yourself in the body. He explains that your inner body is like a bridge between the outer world of form and the inner world of being. When you bring attention to the inner energy field of the body, something subtle happens. Your mind slows down, your breath deepens, and your awareness shifts from thinking to sensing. What is the inner body? The inner body is not a physical structure, it's the aliveness within, right now. Can you feel the life energy inside your hands without moving them? That gentle tingling, that soft vibrational presence, that's your inner body. When you bring your attention to it, you inhabit the present moment without effort. You're not caught in the future, you're not analyzing the past. You're simply here, fully, vibrantly alive. Why this works? Tolle says the inner body acts as a portal into stillness. Why? Because the mind can't dominate when your awareness is anchored in sensation. The more you focus on the energy inside your body, your chest, your arms, your abdomen, the more spacious you become inside. You stop thinking about being present and begin living it. Even just a few seconds of inner body awareness can dissolve anxiety, soften emotional tension, and create a calm, alert clarity. Practicing inner body awareness. Eckhart offers simple but powerful practices. To deepen this connection, scan your body slowly. Begin with your hands, then feel into your arms, shoulders, chest, abdomen, legs, feet. Not with thought, but with raw awareness, like sensing from within. Stay rooted while active. Try feeling your inner body while walking, speaking, or listening. This keeps a part of your attention inside, even during outer activity. Use the breath as a bridge. Combine conscious breathing with body awareness. Feel the breath flowing in and out as you stay rooted in inner sensation. At first, it may seem subtle, even hard to notice, but with time, the sensation becomes more distinct, more alive, more stabilizing. Warning, don't turn this into a thought exercise. Cautions us, this isn't something to think about. It's not a concept to understand. It's an experience to live. The moment you start analyzing it or naming it, you leave the body and return to the mind. So, the key is feel, don't think, sense, don't interpret. This is a return to direct knowing, to intuition, stillness, presence. From form to formless. Perhaps the most mystical insight of this chapter is this. The inner body connects you to something beyond form, being itself. Tolle suggests that the deeper you go into your body, the more you begin to sense your true nature, which has no shape, no boundary, no time. You move beyond the surface of your life, into the depth of existence, and there, you realize, you are not just a body. You are the life within it. Key takeaway, the body is not a distraction from presence. It's a doorway into a dot. When you connect with your inner body, you enter. Then now directly, without struggle, you become still, grounded, and deeply alive. Asterisk, can you feel the energy inside your hands right now? Don't try to describe it. Don't analyze it. Just feel it. Softly, quietly. That silent aliveness is the doorway to the eternal now. Asterisk, so we found one powerful portal into presence, the body. But are there others? In chapter 7, Eckhart reveals multiple portals to the now, simple, natural, and always available, from silence to breath to surrender. Join us as we explore more openings into the space beyond thought. Asterisk chapter 7. Portals into the now. Is there only one way to become present? What if presence isn't a destination, but a doorway you can enter at any moment? Through multiple paths. In chapter 7 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle opens up a world of possibilities. Simple, silent, everyday portals that reconnect us to our true nature. Asterisk, not everyone connects through the same method. Some feel presence in stillness, others find it in breath. For some, it's through music, nature, or deep attention. The point is, the now is always available, but we must learn how to notice the doors that lead into it. Let's explore the key portals Eckhart presents in this chapter. Point 1. The inner body continued. As we saw in chapter 6. Feeling the energy inside the body is a powerful anchor to presence. When you sense the aliveness in your hands, chest, or whole body, you're no longer lost in thought. You're rooted in the living moment. The key is subtlety. It's not dramatic. It's quiet, deep, and immediate. 2. Conscious breath. In your breath is a built-in doorway to presence. It's always here. It can't happen in the past or future, only now. Tolle teaches us to use breath as a focus point. Feel the inhale. Notice the slight pause. Feel the exhale. You don't need to control your breath. Just be with it. Even 3 conscious breaths can interrupt compulsive thinking and restore clarity. 3. Listening to silence. One of the most overlooked portals to presence is silence itself. Eckhart writes, when you listen to silence, you become silent. It's not the absence of sound that matters. It's the space in which sounds appear. Try this. Listen to the silence beneath the noise. Listen not just with your ears, but with your entire being. This shifts your awareness out of the mind and into presence. 4. Nature. Have you ever stared at a tree and felt completely still inside? That's because nature exists in presence. A flower doesn't think about blooming. A river doesn't plan its flow. When you observe nature with deep attention, you begin to resonate with that same stillness. Eckhart suggests walking in nature not as a tourist, but as a meditator. Let each leaf, breeze, or bird song bring you into the now. 5. Surrendering to the moment. Sometimes, the portal is not something peaceful, but something uncomfortable. Tolle teaches that deep acceptance of what is can also bring us into presence, even in pain, even in stress. If you stop resisting the moment and allow it fully, you drop into being. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of inner resistance. That surrender becomes the doorway. The portal is always no. Eckhart makes a vital point. The present moment is not something special. It's not something you achieve through effort. It's already here. All these portals, breath, silence, nature, surrender, don't create presence. They simply reveal what's already true. Your task isn't to manufacture presence. Your task is to notice where you are not and gently return. Key takeaway. There are many portals into the now, but all of them lead to the same place. The stillness and awareness beneath thought. Use what resonates. Return often. Let the door stay open. Asterisk right now. Choose one portal. Feel your breath. Sense your inner body. Listen to the silence. Look around you with no mental label, just presence. Which one brought you home? Asterisk, but presence doesn't just transform how we experience ourselves. It transforms our relationships. To dot in chapter 8, Eckhart explores how awakened presence radically shifts the way we connect with others. Moving from unconscious need to conscious love, join us as we step into enlightened relationships. The next evolution of presence. Asterisk chapter 8, enlightened relationships. We do relationships, which promise love and connection, often bring pain, conflict, or emptiness. What if the problem isn't the other person, but our own unconsciousness? In chapter 8 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle offers a radical insight. True love can only exist in presence. Anything else is ego in disguise. Asterisk most relationships are built not on awareness, but on need. We look to others to complete us, to make us feel whole, special, wanted. But as Tolle explains, this kind of love isn't love. It's egoic attachment, and the ego always comes with fear. Fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough. When those fears surface, we lash out, withdraw, blame, or cling. And the relationship becomes a cycle of emotional reaction, not conscious connection. The ego and the pain body in relationships reveals how the pain body, that reservoir of old emotional wounds, is often activated in close relationships. We unconsciously project past hurts onto our partner. We expect them to fix us or punish them when they don't. The mind says, "You're not giving me what I need. You should change. You're making me feel this way." But the truth is, no one can complete you, only presence. Your connection to being can bring real peace. The shift from need to buying. So how do we transform our relationships? The answer isn't in fixing the other person or even fixing yourself. It's in being present. Tolle writes, make it your practice to withdraw attention from the past and future. When you are interacting with people, this means listening fully, without judgment, speaking from stillness, not reaction, feeling your inner body as you engage, staying rooted in now. When you bring presence into a relationship, something beautiful happens. You stop using the other person and begin to see them. Love without attachment distinguishes between egoic love and real love. Egoic love says, "I love you because you make me feel good." Real love says, "I love you because I am love." In egoic love, the moment the other person stops fulfilling your needs, the love turns to resentment or withdrawal. But in presence, love is not a transaction. It's a state of being. You don't fall in or out of it. You simply allow it to flow through you, whether or not it's returned. Using conflict as a doorway. Tolle doesn't deny that conflict arises, even in conscious relationships. But he invites us to use those moments as portals into presence. When tension arises, pause, breathe, feel your inner body, observe the emotion without acting on it. This inner stillness can prevent unconscious reaction and open space for genuine dialogue. Presence gives you the ability to choose your response. Instead of being driven by the pain body, being alone and being wholly. Another important idea in this chapter, until you are comfortable being alone, you will continue to enter relationships from a place of lack. But when you find peace in your own presence, you stop looking for someone to complete you. Then, and only then, can you create relationships that are free from fear, control, and ego. Key takeaway. True love begins not with another person, but with presence within yourself. In presence, you no longer seek completion, you bring wholeness. You no longer demand love, you become love. You no longer react unconsciously, you respond with awareness. This is an enlightened relationship. Asterisk in your current relationships, are you present? Are you listening or waiting to speak? Are you reacting from old wounds or responding from stillness? Try bringing your full attention and inner stillness into just one interaction today. Feel the shift. Asterisk chapter 9. Beyond happiness and unhappiness there is peace. What if happiness isn't the highest state you can achieve? What if constantly chasing pleasure, success, or good feelings is keeping you trapped? In chapter 9 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle introduces a truth that turns our modern understanding of joy upside down. There is a peace deeper than happiness, and it's only found in presence. Most people live chasing happiness and avoiding pain. We search for joy in achievements, relationships, material success, or spiritual experiences. But Tolle reminds us, happiness is temporary. It arises when things go our way and fades when they don't. That's because happiness is tied to conditions, and conditions always change. So if your peace depends on your circumstances, then it's not really peace at all. It's emotional dependence. The endless cycle of opposites. Eckhart explains that the mind lives in a world of duality. Pleasure and pain, success and failure, approval and rejection, hope and furwin. We identify with the mind. We're always swinging between emotional highs and lows. Even the joy we feel can carry with it the fear of losing it. But beyond the seesaw lies something deeper, a peace that comes not from what happens around you, but from what awakens within you. The peace of mind, Tolle calls this deeper dimension. The peace of being dot is not a feeling that comes and goes. It's a state of inner stillness that remains, even when emotions move on the surface. You might feel sadness and still be at peace. You might face difficulty and still feel an unshakable calm inside. This is possible because you are no longer identified with form, with outcomes, thoughts, or external validation. You are rooted in something timeless, the now. Why the mind rejects this peace of ego doesn't like peace. It finds it boring, unsatisfying, even threatening. The ego wants excitement, validation, drama. It wants to be right, to win, to be seen. But when you're present, the ego begins to dissolve, and what remains is stillness. That's why this deeper peace is often overlooked, because it's not loud, it's not flashy, it doesn't feed your identity. It simply is. Accepting what isn't. Of the gateways into this peace is acceptance. When you stop resisting the present moment, whether it's joyful or painful, you begin to find the stillness beneath it. Eckhart calls this the isness of life. It doesn't mean you stop acting or making changes, but it means your inner state is no longer in conflict with outer conditions. From that stillness, you can act with wisdom and clarity, not from fear or reaction. Joy versus peace. It's important to note, this deeper peace is not dull. It actually contains joy, but not the kind of joy that depends on winning, gaining, or controlling. It's a gentle, radiant joy that arises just from being. You walk through life with a quiet fullness, a contentment that doesn't need explanation. This is what the world cannot give you and cannot take away. Key takeaway: happiness is based on conditions, peace is based on presence. The more you resist life, the more you suffer. The more you surrender to the now, the more you discover a joy that is not emotional, but existential. This is the peace that passes understanding. What if nothing needed to happen for you to feel peace? Could you allow this moment to be just as it is? Close your eyes, take one breath, feel the stillness beneath the movement of thoughts. That's peace. That's you. So if this peace is always available in the now, how do we keep returning to it again and again? In the next chapter, Eckhart offers simple but powerful ways to stay rooted in being, even in the midst of daily life. Join us in Chapter 10 as we explore the meaning of surrender. Chapter 10, the meaning of surrender. Surrender to the ego. This word sounds like defeat, giving up, losing control, becoming passive. But what if surrender is the beginning of real power? In the final chapter of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle reveals the true meaning of surrender, not as a collapse, but as an awakening. Surrender is not giving into life, it's becoming one with it. So what does surrender really mean? Tolle defines it simply: surrender is the letting go of mental resistance to what is. It's not resignation, it's not inaction, it's a deep, inner yes to this moment, no matter what it contains. When we surrender, we stop arguing with reality, we stop trying to bend life to our will, and we start aligning with the deeper intelligence of the now. Resistance creates suffering. Eckhart explains that suffering arises from resisting the present moment, especially when it doesn't meet our expectations or desires. We say, this shouldn't be happening. Why is this happening to me? Things need to change before I can be at peace. But here's the truth. What is already is. No amount of mental resistance can undo the moment. It only adds suffering on top of what's already happening. Surrender removes that second layer. It says, I may not like this. I may work to change it, but I will not fight reality inside my mind. That shift changes everything. Surrender is inner, Not how Tolle makes an important distinction. Surrender doesn't mean you stay in a bad situation. It doesn't mean you become passive, weak, or helpless. You can still take action, walk away, speak up, make changes. But when you surrender, your inner state is no longer reactive. You act from clarity, not chaos. You become like a calm lake, still, deep, powerful, even as life flows around you. Surrender versus giving up. So how do you know if you're truly surrendering or just giving up? Here's the difference. Giving up comes from fear, defeat, or resentment. Surrender comes from awareness, strength, and inner peace. When you give up, you feel heavy, hopeless. When you surrender, you feel light, aligned, empowered. Because surrender is not about doing nothing. It's about doing the next thing from presence. Moments of true surrender. Think back to a time in your life when you finally let go. Maybe it was after fighting something for months or years. Maybe you just stopped resisting, and in that moment, everything shifted. That relief, that softness, that freedom with surrender. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. But it changes everything, because in surrender, the ego dissolves, and what remains is being. Surrender aligns you with life. When you surrender to the now, you align with a greater intelligence, the flow of life itself. Suddenly, synchronicities happen. Decisions become clearer. Struggle turns to flow. Why? Because you're no longer pushing against life. You're flowing with it. This is not passivity. It's the ultimate creative power. Key takeaway. Surrender is the end of inner resistance and the beginning of true peace. It doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to the power of now. From that space, you act, not from ego or fear, but from stillness, clarity, and alignment. Asterisk, what are you resisting right now? Is there a situation, emotion, or truth you're fighting? What if, just for a moment, you stop resisting it? Could you allow it just to be? That stillness you feel, that surrender. Asterisk, as we conclude the power of now, we return to the heart of Eckhart's message. You are not your mind. You are the awareness behind it. You are not your past. You are the presence in this moment. You are not what happens to you. You are the stillness from which peace, joy, and freedom arise. And all of that begins with now. Asterisk, thank you for joining this journey through the power of now. This wasn't just a summary, it was a pathway. A gentle reminder that your true self is always here, beneath the noise, beneath the roles, beneath the rush, quiet, aware, present. This book doesn't ask you to believe anything. It invites you to experience presence for yourself again and again and again. Because the greatest awakening is not in the future, it is already here. If you are